Hello to my fellow glorious Gaians. Thank you for joining me, Amber, on my channel Guidance Through Gaia, where I do tarot pick-a-card readings. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I hope that you find something that resonates with you today. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you for giving me another opportunity to read your energy today. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed, liked videos, shared videos, commented on videos, even the kind of critical comments. Like, I think there was one recently I got that was like, this video is chaotic. And you know what? Okay, that's totally fine. Sometimes I think maybe that's how messages come through, but then sometimes that might be, maybe I'm not centered enough. So whether it's sharing your story or offering suggestions for topics or even offering critiques and criticisms of the content, like, just know that I appreciate everybody. So today we are going to be looking at the question, what is blocking you from union with your person? And I am leaving the quote-unquote person open-ended. So this could be talking about somebody that you do know that you have dealt with in the past or you're currently dealing with. Or it could be talking about simply like your ideal partner or, your next romantic partner. How we are going to look at that information is these oracle cards are going to represent the energy of the person that you are asking about union with. And I'm going to try to be as all-encompassing as I can, since we are leaving this open-ended, to hopefully offer descriptions of, for those of you who are asking about somebody in particular, to offer you confirmation that, like, yes, this pile is meant for you. And then for those of you where it may be an open situation where you don't have anybody in mind, you still might be able to like resonate with that as well. And then what we're going to be looking at is the answer to that question, what is blocking you from union? Then we're going to be asking tarot again, what, if anything, can you do to come closer to union with this person? Then we'll be getting a quick message from that individual about something they want you to know. And then finally, we will close out with some advice from the universe. Okay? So we have three groups here. We have group number 1 with the camera. Group number 2 with the beach scene and the volcano or mountain. And then group number 3 with the flower. So go ahead, take your time. If you are interested in, excuse me, bud. If you're interested in more than one pile, feel free to check out multiple, and I'll see you at your reading. Bye. Hello, group number 1. If you chose the camera, this is going to be your reading, answering the question, what's blocking you from union? So as I mentioned in the intro, these 3 cards are going to give us a profile. Shh, baby. A profile of the person that you are inquiring about. Jack, sit. Sit. He's all worked up because other people live around me in an apartment. Shock of all shocks. But this could refer to somebody that you do already know, like an ex or somebody that you're in a situationship with, a friend, what have you. Or it could talk about maybe like your next partner or your ideal partner. If this layout, this profile does sound like somebody that you know or somebody whose energy you would be interested in, then that's how you'll know this reading is for you. So let's move this guy over here and we will lay out the cards. We have card number 48 with, Psychic. Card number 3 with Gemini, cross-pollinate in reverse. And then card number 70 with the thread. Okay. So ideally what I would like to do is I would like to start with talking about those of you who are asking about a person in particular. If you're just kind of asking in general, I would recommend, you still pay attention, see if certain things stick out to you that maybe are qualities that, you're looking for in a partner, or that would appeal to you in a partner. And then we'll transition over into like the general profile of an individual for those of you who aren't asking about anybody in particular. But for those of you who are asking about somebody that you do know, with this camera right here and psychic, I feel like for some of you, this individual could have almost like a photographic memory. Or they are somebody who has in the past or even currently been very good about remembering specific things, especially in relation to you. This could be significant if, for instance, you've had partners in the past, or even friends, acquaintances, coworkers, family members who didn't seem to pay much attention to you. And you got to a point in those relationships where you didn't feel seen. This could be somebody who is creative, especially in like visual art, photography, painting, collaging, sculpting. For some of you, you're asking, I think, about somebody that you were engaged to. With this psychic card here, it's just reminding me of 2 rings. Maybe the engagement broke off, or it hasn't progressed. It's kind of like the marriage has been delayed. This person could be a twin. Whether their twin is alive or not, because it could have been that they were a twin in the womb, but something happened, the other twin miscarried, or they had, what do they call it? Where, like, one twin absorbs the other. This card does reference something about Pisces, and Jack, enough. Pisces could be significant, or Gemini. Now with this Gemini in reverse card, Gemini is an air sign, right? And air signs deal a lot with intellect and communication, messages, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. This could be somebody that, for those of you where you maybe weren't engaged, there was only like online communication. For others of you, it could be that there's currently a disconnect between the two of you, because the Gemini in reverse card here does talk about problems and difficulties arising. And one thing about Gemini is that sometimes the communication is surface level. So there's an encouragement to dig deeper into a situation, try to bring more depth to it. But there could have been an argument that really created a rift between the two of you. But there is still like this feeling of fate, almost. And it feels kind of like this person you see as like the missing link, right? The last thread to complete the tapestry. This person could be, this is making me think of in the gym, or in the military, like when they have to climb the rope. So this could be somebody who was in the military or athletic in some way. And with the rainbow here, it could be that This is somebody who may be part of the queer community, whether they're trans, non-binary, gay, lesbian, asexual. They could be allergic to bees. There's that song by, is it Weezer? Where it's talking about pulling the thread of my sweater. I feel like something could have potentially unraveled. It's almost like feeling as if the other person, as we mentioned, is the remaining thread to complete the tapestry, but also potentially that the thread was pulled and the situation unraveled. Loose ends between the two of you, things that weren't completed. Now, if we're looking in general at a person, to get into a broader scope for those of you who may not be asking specifically about somebody, you could be looking for somebody that you feel is your soulmate or a twin flame, right? Also here, it makes me think of somebody who is your opposite in many ways, but there's an intersection of commonalities. You know, some people really want to date or be involved with people who are incredibly similar to them. Others want somebody who has significant differences. And I feel like for those who chose pile one, especially if you're asking about somebody that you haven't met yet, you don't have a face or a name or a voice to, you're looking for somebody who does feel like they strongly exhibit qualities that maybe you don't have, but someone who still has enough shared similar beliefs, interests, mannerisms, where the two of you would be compatible. It's almost like you may be asking, you may have felt drawn to this reading because you feel this tug here with the thread and the psychic card. It's kind of like in the back of your mind where you're like, I know someone is out there for me, right? Like I can feel them or they're getting close. So even though you don't have anything substantial or tangible in your reality at this point to pursue, you still feel this magnetic pull or this nagging feeling in your intuition that somebody is out there for you, or that you're about to meet somebody. I think this person could be somebody who is very intellectual, somebody who's really good at debate. They could be a little bit of like a devil's advocate with the Gemini card. Because with Gemini, you know, a person can look at different perspectives, right? They can see both sides of an equation. And which can make somebody really well-rounded, but sometimes you also don't know exactly where they stand, or maybe their perspectives shift sometimes depending on the situation or their mood. But I think, you know, this person is somebody who would be really good at challenging you intellectually. They could be kind of a jokester, somebody who is intelligent, somebody who likes debate. This could be somebody who is even involved in some sort of career that requires them to be like a talker, whether that's like an online personality, a reporter or journalist, a motivational speaker, even like, you know, a politician or an attorney, or, you know, a team lead, somebody who rallies together and brings people into a common goal and then is able to discuss like what the positives are of a situation and then maybe where there needs to be some improvement. This is somebody who I think will be kind of a challenge for you. Because it's almost like I'm hearing like they make you reach taller heights. You know, this is somebody who isn't going to just be content in stagnancy or in routine. This is somebody who likes to change things up sometimes. And especially if you are somebody who tends to be more grounded or more routine oriented, this is the kind of person who is going to require you to pull yourself up out of that sometimes. They might encourage you, like they might assist you in some ways, but it is also kind of giving me the energy of like, you just have to keep up, group number one. I think they are self-motivated. Somebody who is looking for partnership. And somebody who seems to have just a broader understanding of themselves and things going on around them, people going on around them. I think they have like a deep insight into situations and into motives and people and themselves that maybe a lot of people don't naturally pick up on. They might not always let on to it. This is somebody who at times could be mysterious in their thinking. They may not express everything that they're thinking and feeling. And that could be part of the reason why we have this idea of like, sometimes you kind of have to pull yourself up and like work towards that connection with them. Because they might not just open that freely, you know? But if that sounds like somebody that you have dealt with or an energy, that would interest you, we're going to get into the tarot portion of it now. Okay, so the first question we're going to be rolling up on here is, what is currently blocking union between the two of you? So what is currently blocking union between group one and this person? Okay, we have the World in reverse and the Pilgrim. Interesting. We'll pull some more cards, but I feel like this is a complete thought almost. With the World in reverse, that's talking about a cycle that is not complete, right? Something that's unfinished. And we have the Page of Scrolls. That's the Pilgrim. A pilgrim is somebody who goes on a journey, okay, for a specific reason. And this is a card that's defined as a Scrolls card, and that is, that is an air sign. That's the swords, the daggers, the blades, what have you. So for some of you, I feel like there is a journey that has not yet been finished. Okay, there's and it's almost kind of like for those of you, especially where this is somebody that you do know, it could be that there's a goal that they have, right? That they want to accomplish that hasn't been completed yet. And they're simply waiting for that. For some of you, it's going to be something like maybe they're getting divorced from somebody else. And they want to wait until that divorce is finalized and everything is kosher before they move into a new connection. For others of you, I'm getting like it may be a military issue. They may want to finish basic training. They may want to complete their service, their 2-3 years, however many. Maybe this is a person who is in the process of moving, or they want to achieve some sort of like material success, right? Because sometimes it can be a challenge, or even educational. It can be a challenge to maybe have a big goal in mind, like finishing a higher education or working on your career to gain financial stability, especially if this is somebody who's working multiple jobs, or if they're doing overtime at the current job and then they feel that they don't have enough time for a relationship. So for some of you, it's something very practical. Okay, they want to focus on a goal of theirs before they make a commitment. For others of you, this is kind of more of like an initiation process. And it could be something that they're going through or something you're going through, right? A journey that one or both of you has to go through, and that could deal with something like self-worth, identity, spiritual ascension, what have you. But it's kind of like the universe is saying like, okay, there's a journey that you have to go on. There's a cycle you have to complete, or they have to complete before this connection can come together. Let's see if we can get any other information. The Six of Mirrors in reverse. So that's reaffirming to me that for those of you where the first scenario resonated, they do not have the bandwidth to connect with somebody right now. It's easy to fall into the ideology of like, if they wanted to, they would. But everybody's also different, right? We all process our life circumstances differently, our emotions differently. And some people are able to take on more at once, and some people really require hyper focus on specific areas. So this indicates to me that for those of you, especially where this is somebody that you know, there is an interest in here for connecting with you, whether this is an ex or a friend or a situationship. But right now, they don't feel that they can responsibly make that commitment. For others of you, this initiation process has to do with how do I word it? It has to do with restraint, right? Emotional restraint and refraining from, I feel like, connecting too quickly. Okay, so the Six of Mirrors, the Six of Cups in reverse, can talk about withholding our emotional resources to see who is kind of deserving of them. A lot of times the Six of Cups upright is like an exchange of emotional resources, a mutual emotional connection. It can talk about nostalgia, connections to the past. And so for some of you, there may be a requirement of you to detach from the past. That could be kind of this initiation process. But overall, there seems to be this lesson that you're undergoing, and or maybe it's them, to see who's worthy, right, of that emotional connection, of that emotional nurturing and resources. Yeah, and the Two of Spirals in reverse. And that can talk about when we look at it upright, to me, a lot of times that's of either a connection that's very passionate, or it's talking about making a decision. Twos are often looked at as cards of choice. In reverse, I can look at this as being part of the lesson here, whether this is for you or for the other person, is to refrain from jumping into connections due to passion and simply withholding that offering until you see something more practical, or until they see something more practical. Something, of someone who is making the decision to show up in the connection continuously, putting effort in, communicating effectively, having the same types of goals, and really being a match for the person that they're pursuing. So let's see, what, if anything, can you do to get closer to union with this person? We've got the Two of Mirrors. We've got the Tower in reverse. What, if anything, can group number one do to get closer? We've got the Visionary, the Knight of Scrolls. And we've got the Four of Spirals in reverse. Okay. Let's get a lot of information here, guys. First and foremost, I think the decision to, right? Once again, we talked about twos being about a decision, and the mirrors are cups. They're about emotion and creativity, intuition. And so simply having that intention of like, this is the person that I want, or this is the type of person that I want. And being open to relationships, right? Being open to giving, if this is somebody who's needing time, being open to giving them time, not expecting commitment right away, and still maintaining a very nurturing relationship with them if possible. For some of you, this may be a no contact situation, and it might be a situation where I'm going to ask you to use your best judgment in this, but where, maybe the next step is for you to reach out to them without necessarily any ulterior motive, but from an authentic, genuine care for them. For those of you where this is somebody you might be in no contact with, and it might not be in your best interest to reach out to them for whatever reason, sending them love, even your mind, your heart, just letting yourself feel that love for them. And especially if there's been pain there, because pain festers, and it's an important part of a human experience, and it's important to recognize when we are in pain, to acknowledge why, and to see how we can navigate that feeling of pain in a way that is productive and constructive. And sometimes that just means experiencing it, right? Like, maybe we just need to allow ourselves to feel the pain and then release it. But sometimes the pain is also something that can give us an indication of like where we need to go next, or more information about ourselves, right? What we're looking for, or maybe realizing how something hurt us. But if you have the ability to at some point move past that pain, right? And just like allow yourself to feel that genuine love and care for this person. Especially with the Psychic card, I really feel that that's something that they're going to experience. They might not know exactly where it's coming from, and it might not be something that they feel right away, but I do feel as if there will be some sort of like energetic impact, right? And it in the intent, with the intent of it being authentic, like, you caring about this person. For those of you where this is somebody you haven't met yet, recognizing that this person is out there, holding that belief, okay, that there is somebody out there, and, excuse me, recognizing that they're going to feel that same way about you too. Making that decision that you're going to keep open to love. When you're starting to experience doubt or pessimism, finding ways to correct yourself, finding ways to make yourself feel nurtured, finding ways to maintain that positivity and that hope that the person you're looking for is out there. The Tower in reverse, if this is a connection that has already existed at some point, it's going to be really important for you to rebuild that foundation, okay? Especially if there's been somewhat of a falling out. There are things that maybe happened in the past that can't move forward into the future with you. And the relationship dynamic has changed, or you're just kind of having to rediscover what still exists in the connection. And so it's kind of like acknowledging that there are parts of the connection that had to fall away, whether permanently or temporarily, or that there was some pain and trauma, but holding on to like kind of the roots, right? Or the base foundation, the strength of what's left. So for instance, if this is somebody you're in no contact with, and there was like pain there. Okay, yes, there's pain, and it's important to acknowledge that, but what are the positive qualities that you really enjoyed about the relationship, or about the person, or about how you interacted in the relationship? If this is a connection that's been put on pause because of life circumstances, even if you can't push forward and try to create exactly what it is that you want, there is still a type of relationship that you can have with this person. It's just the rest of it hasn't been built up. And so focus on that friendship, or focus on that acquaintanceship. Really, really embrace the roots of what the connection is, and allow everything else to grow organically. And for those of you where this is somebody you haven't met yet, I think it's going to be really important for you to kind of allow negativity from previous relationships to fall away, especially if you're still holding on to previous relationships, not allowing those to hinder you. I think it's also important for you to maybe deconstruct yourself a little bit, figure out what kind of partner you want to be, and how you can get to be that kind of partner, and then what kind of relationship you're looking for. I'm just seeing like building blocks, right? And just experimenting with that. What's the most, and especially what's the most important to you? What are the qualities that you absolutely need in a partner? Because a lot of stuff that we focus on is kind of superficial, and it can really impede upon our ability to find a really good match for us, because we hyperfixate too much on qualities that aren't necessarily important. So if you focus on the basics of what you absolutely need in a partner, I think it'll help you broaden yourself to a point where this person has more room to come in. The visionary, the Knight of Scrolls, that's pretty self-explanatory, I think. For a lot of you, especially those of you where this is a connection you haven't actually encountered yet, it's going to be very much envisioning it, okay? So you might want to do self-talk, affirmations in the mirror. You can do writing, painting, things that are kind of creative that allow you to imagine this relationship, imagine this partner, or feel what it would be like to be with this person. For others of you, this is definitely about keeping in communication when possible with this person, if this is somebody that you already know, and being honest about your intentions if that hasn't been a discussion that you've had, but also being open to listening, right? And then the Four of Spirals in reverse. So that's kind of an interesting card to get when we're asking what you can do to get closer to this person. What I feel that is telling us is to not take so much control, right? If this is a situation where there is another person that that's involved, it's likely for one reason or another they're not committed to the relationship in the way that you're wanting at this point in time. Whether it's you guys are falling out, or they've got life circumstances that are impacting them. And so that just kind of means that you have to relinquish the control. You can't construct the relationship in the way that you want to, because they're not ready for that yet. So it's just kind of you have to embrace what the relationship is right now and allow them the ability to co-create, as they're able to. For others of you, kind of a similar message, right? But you might be in a position where you are just, especially if you're feeling psychically connected to somebody, or you feel like you have a twin flame out there or a soulmate, that can make you feel like you're going crazy, right? And So you might be trying everything in your power to make the meeting of this person and the connection happen. And the universe is really encouraging you, let go of that control, right? For one reason or another, likely because we've got kind of an initiation process that has to tie itself up here. There can't be union at this point. But that doesn't mean it's not coming. And so you have to be willing to let go, recognize that love is out there for you, that your partner is out there for you. Imagine, what that looks like for you. Focus on building stability in yourself and defining what you need in a connection, and then just kind of allowing the bricks to be laid bit by bit, and by the universe. This is a situation where you really can't control the outcome. You can't control what's happening any faster. So I do want to get a message from this person about something you should know, something that they want to tell you. Because sometimes when we want union with someone, whether we know them or not, it can be very frustrating and disheartening. So sometimes I feel like getting a message from them, their higher self, what have you, can offer a little bit of relief. So I want to do about up to 3 cards. So what does group 1's person want to tell them? What do they feel group 1 needs to know? We've got the Muse. We've got the Weaver. So we have 2 feminine court cards here, both queens. And then we've got the Sojourner, which is the King of Mirrors in reverse. Okay, so notice both queens are upright and the King is in reverse. This message overall, I feel like, really is a reminder to you that whether this is somebody that you know or not, your passion, right? Whether it's your attractiveness, but also your passions in life or passion for them, is really inspiring to them. First and foremost, this is somebody who, if you know them, they see how much you value them. They see how much you care about them. They see how much you want to be with them. And that is inspiring to them. Okay? It's not something that they're taking lightly. If you don't know them, this is somebody who is going to see that passion in you, and they're going to just really appreciate it. I feel here that with the Muse and the Weaver, this is talking also about your passion kind of being the driving force. Okay? It's what's stitching things together. It's interesting that we have the Weaver and the thread. Okay? So you may see this other person as kind of like the completion to your tapestry, but you're the one weaving it. Your love, your passion, your desire is a big part of what will make this possible. In part because if this is somebody that you know, it's just they're in awe of it. It makes them feel incredibly special, or they feel blessed, or it's a reminder of when I'm finished with this goal, this is what I have to come home to. For others of you, this is a situation where it's just kind of if you don't know this person, you staying focused on this path of like being confident that you're going to find them and enjoying, you know, your life in the meantime is really a big portion of what's going to help this reality come into fruition. It's just right now, the Sojourner, I don't remember what sojourning means. I can think of it as Sojourning Weaver. But the King of Mirrors, he's just not ready to express himself. It's very likely that there are things that he has to think about, or he is maybe confused about some of his emotions, or he just doesn't feel that it's the right time. You know, we can look at the King of Mirrors as somebody who is holding back. So even though you're not seeing maybe this communication in the real world, there is this admiration and love for you, and you do have a major influence on the success of this connection. We're going to get one more card, and this is just going to be advice from the universe. This is the Energy and Spirit Oracle. And they do have upright and reversed meanings. Okay, 37, creation. Soul expression, something new. Okay, so and what's coming to mind here is, regardless of if you are masculine, feminine, somewhere in between, neither spectrum, you know, whatever, this to me is just talking about the feminine concept of nurturing something, but like not taking action, right? Like the way in which this is received is by planting the seed, nurturing it, but then waiting for the fruits of your labor, right, to be given to you. It says, this card heralds exciting new creative beginnings. From business plans to personal projects or family matters, your soul is longing for you to create something new. This can include expanding your family. If you've been thinking about having a baby or adopting a child, this would be a time. There may even be a new romantic relationship in store for you, possibly with somebody who already has children. Consider any action needed and invoke the assistance of all your loving angels and guides. This is also a good time for putting your creative ideas into your work or personal projects. If you've always had a penchant for some form of artistry, make sure you prioritize that endeavor now. Whether you're an artist, writer, composer, chef, or fashion designer, let yourself engage in those activities with abandon. And if you've been thinking about starting a new business, it's time to focus your efforts on that. Whatever the project, plant the seeds of your creative energy now and enjoy the growth of something new. And the affirmation is, great creativity is blossoming in my life. I'm open to new ideas and actions that expand my soul's expression in the world. And yeah, if there's any creative project that you are thinking about or engaging in, I think it's a really positive thing for you to continue doing that and putting more of your time and effort into, because, you know, that could potentially kind of help you detach away a little bit from the impatience of not having a union with this person. And it could also just, especially for those of you where you don't know this person yet, it could be what kind of helps draw them in, right? I mean, you could end up meeting as a result of a creative expression of yours. So group number 1, that's where I'm going to leave you. If you enjoyed the reading, please give it a thumbs up. If it resonated, let me know how in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to be a part of the family and you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can know whenever I upload a new video. Right. Bye. Hello, group number 2. If you chose the beach mountain setting sticker, then this is going to be your reading, answering the question, what's blocking union? So how I did this in the first reading, and it seemed to work out fairly well, was I started by reading these oracle cards as the profile of the person that, for those of you who are asking about somebody specific, would give you information that this is indeed about that person, someone that you're dealing with or have dealt with. And then moving on to a secondary profile for people who are not asking about anybody specific, but just asking about like a next romantic partner or like an ideal partner. So I'm going to do that again. We're going to set this sticker off to the side. And for those of you that are in the second category, I would still recommend listening to this portion of it, because you might hear some things that still confirm like, okay, these are behaviors or the type of person that, you know, I would want to be with. In this pile, because I have seen the cards, I feel like the two types of people who could be watching this reading might have vastly different experiences, but it's still worth, I think, listening to both sides. So we've got Shadow with 43, card number 46 with 8th house and Mystery, and then card number 49 with the Fault Line. So for those of you who are asking about a specific person, this might be somebody who loves to surf or goes on vacation a lot. Maybe somebody that you met on vacation or you have gone on vacation with. This could be somebody who has like Pacific Islander background or lives on a coastline. They could have, with 46, the 8th house card, they could have prominent Scorpio placements. For those of you who are asking about somebody who, like, specifically, okay, I feel like for that portion of the viewers, this has probably been very a difficult situation for you. And I feel like a lot of what we're going to be talking about with the profile of this person is going to be talking about their darker aspects. You know, the Shadow card can obviously discuss about how this person very likely has some very deep shadow or negative qualities about themselves, okay? It's important to notice with this Shadow card, they talk about the beast, right? This character right here as not being a bad, I actually want to see how they word it, I forgot. It's not like a bad character. Let's see. It's the repressed parts of ourselves that we believe unlovable, unworthy, or fear-inspiring. Ironically, it is also the place where some of our most hidden and valuable strengths are to be discovered. So, and it's not an evil character, it's just misunderstood. So I feel like for the first portion of viewers who are asking about somebody specifically, there are a lot of deep wounds that this individual experiences, you know, hasn't processed, hasn't gone through. And they could be somebody who has expressed a lot of shadow qualities. You know, somebody who may have a quick temper, somebody who can be very stubborn, somebody who can be judgmental, somebody who can be reactive. And I think that stems from very deep insecurities, right? That have often involved other relationships of theirs with parental figures, with friends, with other lovers. This is somebody who very likely doesn't think highly of themselves, and is insecure about their lovability. Somebody who may have needed, who may need a lot of reassurance, or is constantly questioning their worth. It's like, and I keep seeing this also as like a child's toy. So this person could have a child or could have children, and that could be an indicator for you that this is a person that you're talking about, you're asking about. But it's just kind of like on the outside, they've got the adult personality, the adult looks, but this is somebody you've noticed still has like that childlike temper, that childlike insecurity. They could struggle heavily with depression, anxiety, maybe even like bipolar disorder or some other sort. And maybe they're getting help for it, maybe they're not. I'm also getting, for some of you, this could be somebody who has in the past or currently kind of acted like your quote unquote shadow. You might notice them kind of checking your social media, especially like if you guys are no contact or you're in limited contact, and they may not be talking about things with you, but they still you may notice a presence in your life. It could be that you end up seeing them a lot of places that you go to, or somebody who just, even if it makes sense for why they're at the same place as you are. Like, for instance, if you guys work together or you live in the same neighborhood or something of that sort, it's kind of like you notice them observing you, but not really like approaching you. This could be somebody who has struggles with some sort of addiction. The 8th house of mystery talks a lot about like how we utilize other people's resources, whether it's about money, thoughts, sex, what have you. So this person could struggle with a sexual addiction, a substance abuse addiction, a gambling addiction. This could also be somebody who might be manipulative, whether they intend to be or not. Somebody who struggles with understanding other people's perspectives, and they might get kind of sucked into negative thinking a lot. For others of you, it could be that they like have a job like in sex work, or because we're talking about exchange of resources, this could be somebody who, does like works for a collections agency, repossession, banking, that sort of employment. And the fault line here just tells me that this person is kind of unsteady, right? There's a lack of stability here. And they aren't always rational. This might be somebody who is prone to impulsive action without creating like a strong foundation or assessing a situation beforehand. And they tend to, baby, Jack, can you just lay down? Hi, buddy. They may be prone to trying to build stability on situations that don't promote stability. And this could talk to about an energy of just feeling scattered, right? Like somebody whose life right now is kind of in disarray. They may feel like things are falling apart. And just really not having an understanding of how they can be more grounded, how they can create something more long-lasting, whether that's relationships, careers, mental health. Now, to get into the general persona, right? And so for those of you who are dealing with somebody, you know, this could also potentially apply to you. I feel like we could be talking about somebody who has an interest in darker things. So somebody who might be a fan of like horror or, thrillers, somebody who might have an alternative aesthetic, right? Like a lot of piercings, a lot of tattoos, a lot of alternative clothing, an interest in alternative music. This could be somebody who likes, who prioritizes like or enjoys exploring kinks in sexual relationships. And we talk about a power dynamic here too when the 8th house is in reverse. So this could be somebody who is interested in exploring sexual power dynamics, like sub-dom, that type of thing. Somebody who I feel like isn't afraid to talk about the heavier parts of life. And, you know, this fault line card with the way it's situated makes me think of a brain, right? We got the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere. Somebody I feel like that you would have deep conversations with, who, and you feel safe with. Somebody you feel like, especially if you go through your own mental health struggles, where you feel like your shadow is going to be accepted, right? Like your brand of crazy is going to be accepted. That you're not too much for somebody else to be able to love and handle and manage. Somebody who you can probably joke around with and have fun with. Because even though we have the shadow card and does talk about like a heavier aspect of a personality or an experience, I still look at this too also as being like a child's toy, you know? And like, I don't know if any of you ever watched Buffy growing up or even now, but, their little logo was like a zombie going like, grr, arg. And that's what I'm thinking of right here when I see this, it's just kind of silly. But somebody that you can have deep, intense discussions with. And with Scorpio energy, it's just kind of like, Scorpio is a water element, right? So it's all about creativity and emotion, intuition. And it's seen as a sign that really delves into the darkness. I hear a lot about how, when a Scorpio is obsessed with you, it's just kind of like they want to crawl into your skin, which... Okay, a little scary to some extent, but just somebody that you feel like you can be your whole authentic self with, and you don't feel like you have to put on a facade. Maybe you feel like you always have to be the kind of bubbly person, the person to kind of hold things together, but you really yearn for a relationship where it's like, I'm not always happy. Or, I like some of the darker, weirder stuff. And like when I was my last boyfriend, You know, he worked on a prairie for a while, and I felt weird about it, but I was like, hey, you know, if you find any like clean animal bones while you're out there, will you get me some? And he did. Like, he got me this little skull here. And so I was kind of worried about, like, I know this is weird, but he was like, no, it's fine. It's cool. So you might have aspects of yourself where you think, like, you're really unusual. They're, like, maybe you might be rejected by people. You're a little abnormal, and you're really looking for somebody where you feel like you can embrace that part of yourself and they'll embrace it as well. So if that sounds like somebody that you have dealt with, are dealing with, or that, you know, whose energy is kind of the energy that you're looking for, let's look at what is blocking union for the two of you right now. Okay. So what's blocking union for group 2 and this person? What's blocking union for group 2 and this person? Okay, we have the Hanged Man, the 5 of Scrolls in reverse, and the 7 of Spirals in reverse. Okay, so for those of you who know this person, there's a limited perspective right now. And it could be on your side, it could be on their side, it could be between the both of you. It seems like there are some wounds potentially here, and some stubbornness, some combativeness, and some walls, some boundaries. And with the 5 of Scrolls being in reverse, the 5 of Swords, it's talking about a need to release that combativeness. You know, this could be a situation where the both of you just felt like you had to have the last word. And conversations never went anywhere, right? They were always just kind of arguments. Neither one was really listening to the other, or at least one of you wasn't listening. It was just kind of like, you know, someone who is hearing something being said, listening to something so they know how to respond, right? And not so that they know, like, they understand what's being said to them. And the 7 of Spirals in reverse is talking about a need to, like, to put down barriers, to put down defenses. It seems like at this point in the connection, both of you are kind of at a standstill with each other, right? It's just kind of like, you need to apologize. No, you need to apologize. You need to make the first move. No, you need to make the first move. This is what you're doing wrong. Well, yeah, well, this is what you did wrong. And whether it's there's tension between the two of you because of actions that have taken place, right? Or just two people who were kind of waiting for the other person to make a move. There's no give. There's no movement. I'm also getting the message that that's a big reason why there's no union in this connection, is that nobody is making a move. Nobody is like, quote unquote, fighting for the relationship, and nobody's defending it. I just kind of watching to see what the other person is going to do. For those of you where this is somebody that you haven't met, I think it's a similar vein of not taking action, right? I just kind of like waiting for the universe to deliver this person, waiting for a chance encounter. But it's kind of like the lack of whacking the weeds is what I'm seeing, like a weed whacker, right? Going through the jungle with your machete, trying to get to the energy that you want, the person that you're desiring, and then not establishing any boundaries for yourself is what's making it harder to meet this person, to connect with this person, to join into union with this person. It's kind of like you're standing in the middle of a cornfield or in the middle of a forest, blind to really what's around you without any protection. You don't got no bug spray, okay? So you're getting bitten by mosquitoes, or you don't have any armor on. So you're just kind of like bare to the elements. And that can impact the ability to meet this person, because for one, I think it's causing potentially confusion about where this person would be, or this type of person. It's kind of like, when you have too many options, right, in a grocery store. You got all these kinds of potato chips, and you want chips, you just don't really know what flavor. And you got too many options in front of you, and you're not narrowing it down. You're just staring at the aisle, not making a decision. Especially so if you're not going out anywhere, if you're not taking the initiative, if you're not getting on dating apps, if you're not socializing, if you're not exploring new territories, you really put yourself in a position where you're just not going to meet anybody. They're not going to break into your home, honey. But also, you're not weeding through the people that are incompatible with what you're looking for, right? Or incompatible with who you are. And then you're also just kind of vulnerable to people who aren't going to be a good match for you. If you're not establishing boundaries for yourself, if you're just kind of like sitting there defenseless, open for the taking, you're going to get people who are not serious about commitment, people who are going to waste your time, people who are not going to be in alignment for what you're looking for. And it's going to make it even harder to find the kind of person that you want to be with. So let's see what actions you can take, what you can do, if anything, to get closer to union with this person. Okay, we've got Strength in reverse. We've got the Five of Stones in reverse. We've got the Knight of Stones in reverse. And then we've got the Six of Scrolls. Okay. So with Strength in reverse, for those of you where this is a connection that is pre-existing, right? Like you've had it with somebody. It's about letting go of your pride. Okay? It's about making the decision like, okay, I'm going to be the one to forgive. I'm going to be the one to apologize. I'm going to be the one to reach out first. Even if you haven't had like negative interactions, but there's just been kind of like this standoff, like who's going to make the first move? It's about dropping the ego and setting aside your pride and taking initiative. Okay? For those of you where this is more of an unrealized connection, a connection with somebody that you haven't met yet, I think we can follow a similar vein in that respect, you know? Are there any areas where maybe you are experiencing pride, right? Or an ego. And that ego can even be something like, I am too emotional for people to handle. I am too broken. All right, quit that shit out. Like, quit it. You know, while I do think that, you know, healing and working on emotional regulation and healthy emotional communication is always a positive step. You don't need to like downgrade yourself, right? Or degrade yourself. Sitting there and criticizing who you are and making that the reason why you're not in a connection with somebody or with your like desired person is not really going to help you with anything, okay? First of all, it's normal to have insecurities or to have wounds. Everybody has them. And a lot of us are very just sensitive. We're very emotional. And some people may not be able to handle that. But that doesn't mean that nobody out there would be able to handle that aspect of you. There are people out there who are going to value you for you being deep and emotional and sensitive, okay? And there are going to be people out there who understand, like, you have insecurities and you have wounds. You know, if these are qualities about yourself that you really do feel are impeding upon your ability to hold authentic, healthy connections, then there are things you can do to work on them. Moving on into the second thought that I had about this card, what are your weaknesses? Okay, addressing those weaknesses, acknowledging where you have weaknesses. How do you communicate? Are you a weak communicator? Are you able to confidently express yourself? Or do you downplay what your needs are or how you feel? Are you good about asserting what it is that you're looking for in a partner? Or do you kind of decide that maybe, you know, what you're asking for is unreasonable, or you're not deserving of it, or things that, like, okay, so for example, for me, in the US, I am definitely a leftist, and I strongly do not believe that I would have a healthy relationship with somebody who was like conservative or even potentially moderate. To me, leftist politics are so integral into who I am and how I want to raise a family that I feel having somebody with opposing views would really create a clash of a household. So, you know, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to say, well, hey, this guy's like really sexy, but he's a conservative, or he's moderate, or he's apolitical, or what have you. Like, I guess I can ignore my desire for a partner who aligns with my politics. Or like, somebody who wants, let's say you're looking for commitment, right? And there's a certain type of commitment that you need. Maybe you're monogamous, or maybe you're poly or open, and you connect really well with somebody. Like, they check off all the boxes except that one commitment style, right? Maybe you're monogamous and they're poly, or maybe you're poly and they're monogamous. And normally, you know, you would ideally look for somebody who was receptive to your relationship style, but you think like, wow, I don't know if I'm ever going to find somebody this great again. You know, I guess our different relationship styles and needs, they don't have to be that big of a deal. And so you might allow yourself to be in relationships that don't adhere to the style that you need because you don't think that you're going to be getting anything better. You know, if that makes sense. So it's definitely important to like look at areas where you may have weaknesses in how you communicate, how you express yourself, how you engage in relationships. The 5 of Stones in reverse, for those of you who know this person, inviting them in, right? Whether you have had a difficult past or whether you just haven't really engaged a lot, it's never gotten to that level that you're looking for, being the person to make the offering, right? If this is an ex or someone you had a falling out with, reaching out to them, you know, and just being like, hey, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Thinking of you. You know, if this is somebody that maybe you haven't really engaged with, or it hasn't gotten to the level where you're wanting it to, inviting them over, or, you know, doing a kind gesture to show them that you're thinking of them, or, you know, that you care about them. If this is about a situation with somebody that you don't know, you know, and you're looking for this type of person, this is about putting yourself in situations where you're not alone, right? And especially if you have anxiety, or if you're more of an introvert, that can be really difficult. But that means getting on dating apps or going out to settings, and especially like putting yourself out into positions where you can be seen, but also putting yourself into positions where you interact with people, right? Like where you are being intentional, getting to know people. And it can be getting to know people just as friends or as acquaintances. It doesn't have to be explicitly for the prospect of finding a partner, because sometimes the connections we make as acquaintances or friends or coworkers leads us into meeting other people, right? They can introduce us to other people, and bam, next romantic partner, love of our life. But it really means like taking yourself out of isolation and putting yourself into circumstances, inviting yourself in, okay? Or inviting other people into your life. We've got the Knight of Stones in reverse, but it's the illusionist, which is so interesting to me because stones, that's an earth element. That's about things that are concrete, things that are grounded, things that are stable. An illusion is not something stable. So it's kind of interesting to me how they've worded these court cards. In both situations, whether you're asking about an abstract concept of a person or whether you're asking about somebody specific, I think it's about being practical, right? Dismantling illusions, being practical. But also not forcing movement. We're looking at a knight here, which is about communication. It's about, plans and stuff like that, but it's in reverse. So to me, that's expressing like being more open to possibilities. If this is a person you're asking about, specifically, especially if there's been hardship between the two of you, or things just haven't progressed to the level that you thought they were going to progress, you might just need to take a more gentle, an approach that allows them freedom. They might be somebody who is defensive, kind of suspicious of other people and their intentions. They might be somebody who's in a situation where they're not in the best place to be in a relationship, right? And so having that connection, but without the expectation or the demand of like, this has to be, a relationship, really gives, I think, the ability for it to eventually flourish into that. But I don't think they're ready for it to elevate to that level. And, for those of you where this is somebody you don't know, I think it's just kind of like trusting. Trusting that as you are exploring yourself and you're putting yourself out there and you're exploring options, that you are growing. You're getting to know yourself better. You're getting to know what you want more. You're getting to know other people more. You're meeting people, developing connections, whether they're temporary connections, a 5-minute chat at the bus station, right? Or, they're more intimate connections, going on dates with people, making friends, and just not imposing upon people the types of relationships that like you want them to consent to, but just kind of enjoying the process, enjoying the experience of this journey, and allowing yourself to learn things about yourself, about other people, and allowing to see where things go. Like, what you want, what you're looking for. You just don't know exactly what form that's going to take as a person, right? So trying not to get frustrated if you're not meeting the type of person you want right away. Trying not to force situations that are incompatible. But just really appreciating the experience for what it is, trusting that because you know what you want and you're actively going out and exploring, that you're going to find it. And then with the Six of Scrolls, if this is somebody you know, this definitely feels like allowing things to move forward. You know, not holding on to past grudges, or not holding on to insecurities, but kind of putting past judgments or past complications in the past and allowing for new growth to take. And if this is somebody that you don't know, really just working on your mentality, right? Trying to overcome negative thoughts, your doubts, your insecurities, your negative self-talk. And it takes time to get to this point. It takes practice. But creating that trust, right? That things are going to get better. That where you're at in life romantically is not where you're going to be for the rest of your life. So let's get a quick message from this person about what they want you to know. Just because I feel like when we're longing for union with somebody, whether we know them or not, it can be disheartening or discouraging when we're not seeing that occur. So it's nice to get like a little uplifting message. It's something. Okay. Okay, the Eight of Spirals in reverse. So we have the Devil, the Eight of Mirrors, and the Eight of Spirals in reverse. So I feel like for those of you who know this person, we talked about addiction and pride and ego. And I feel like if they walked away, they're definitely saying it's not something they really wanted to do. Okay, their pride got the best of them. They acted irrationally. And but they haven't moved on. This also, I think, talks about how they are trying to work on whatever chains that they have, whatever shadows are present in their character, any wounds and stuff, addictions, but it is a very slow process for them. This is somebody that, you know, is trying to grow and to be healthier, but it's not coming easily to them. For those of you where this is somebody you haven't met, I feel like this is just real. Excuse me. Stop. I feel like this is a gentle nudge from them to, you know, like that pride that we talked about, that insecurity, those self-limitations you've placed, you know, walk away from them. Set them aside. Unbind yourself from them and take things slowly. Okay, there's no need to rush. So let's get a message from the universe. And these are, oh, see, 24, balance, centered energy, and self-care. So it says upright. This card indicates a time of leveling out. While you might have left off center or even out of control, a balance is being struck in your daily life. This card is telling you that your time, energy, and emotions are settling down, and you'll be gaining a greater sense of personal control. Even your physical habits, such as eating unhealthily or not getting enough water or movement, are becoming more moderate and honoring for you too. This important time raises your consciousness about your needs and priorities, reminding you of the self-care you deserve. So be mindful of how you spend your time and whom you spend it with. Honor yourself and make your own health and peace a priority. When you do, balance will become a way of life for the rest of your life. Affirmation, I balance my time and my priorities. It's safe and soul honoring for me to care for myself. So for those of you who know this person, right? Especially if there has been disharmony between the two of you, or this is somebody who's really struggling. You know, we talked here about what's blocking connection with you, right? What's blocking union and how you can get closer to that. I feel like this card right here is an indication of two things. For one, it's a question to you, right? Is this the type of connection that you should be engaging in? Is this healthy for you? We know how you can get closer to coming back into union with this person or coming into union with this person. But is that going to be in your best interest? It's something you really need to consider. It's possible that entering into this connection would just create an imbalance in your life. If this person is struggling with their shadow self and they're unstable, you know, how is that going to impact you? It's really important for you to prioritize maintaining your mental health, your emotional stability, your happiness in life. It might not be in the best interest to connect with this person. If you do connect with this person, this is a reminder, take care of yourself. Okay, this person, you know, make sure if you are connecting with this person that for as much as you help them, you help yourself even more. You're going to need to set strong boundaries with them. You're going to need to be direct with them. And there are going to be times where you just kind of have to let them figure shit out while you take a step back, okay? Because you can't be responsible for their security in life, and you can't allow their struggles to negatively impact you in the ways that it could potentially. If this is somebody that you haven't really had any issues with, I think just taking a balanced approach, you know, just taking things slowly, making the first move, engaging with them and feeling them out. It could be that by getting to know them more, you see that they might have some of these tendencies we talked about earlier, which could change your interest in engaging with them, or just, you know, give you more preparation for how you can better navigate a relationship or a connection with them. Or it could just be that, you know, a balanced approach is what's healthiest for both of you. For those of you who don't know this person that you are asking about, you know, it's just kind of an abstract concept, a soulmate, a future love, really focusing on your mental health and making sure that you have balance, okay? Making sure that you get exercise, but also that you rest. Make sure that you work, but you also have playtime. Make sure that you are potentially putting yourself in uncomfortable situations sometimes so that you have the opportunity for growth, but not pushing yourself so hard that you just kind of have like a nervous breakdown, right? Taking care of your mental health and maintaining a healthy balance in your life is going to be paramount to really creating a healthy relationship with somebody in general, no matter what kind of relationship you're looking for. So group number 2, I hope that this reading resonated. If it did, let me know how in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to be part of the family and haven't done so, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. Bye. Hello, my group number threes. If you chose the flower sticker, this will be a reading on what is blocking union for you. So we, as I discussed in the intro, are looking at romantic union, and it can be with somebody that you know, whether that is, a situationship, an acquaintance, a friend, an ex-partner, or it can be somebody that more so embodies your ideal partner. We are going to be using these pre-shuffled oracle cards to get the profile of this individual. And if this sounds like somebody that you are currently dealing with or have dealt with, or somebody that would interest you, then you'll know that there's a message for you in this reading. To start off with, this flower, flowers could be significant. This could be somebody who's given you flowers, or somebody that has like floral tattoos. Overall, I think this is a daisy, right? And that just makes me think of like creativity and innocence. Something where there is growth, right? Something healthy, because you don't see flowers growing in rotten soil, Let's take a look at these cards. We've got card number 37 with Descendant and Invitation. Card number 8 with the Maiden. And then card number 19 with Transformation. One thing that I love about this layout here is just how all the colors really align with each other, right? Like we have so much purple between these three aspects, and then we've got, this orange here, but we've also got orange in these cards. So to me, what that symbolizes is this is somebody who, it's almost like artwork to you, okay? Somebody very harmonious is just kind of how I interpret this. Now, we're going to start by looking at the profile of, for those of you who are asking about a specific person, and then we will shift over into getting more information for people who are just kind of asking about a general energy. Of course, I do think it would be beneficial to listen to both aspects just to see if there are further confirmations. So first and foremost, I think this is somebody who you're very likely friends with, right? For those of you who are asking about a specific person, or somebody that you've had friendly interactions with. This doesn't feel like somebody that you've had bad blood with or a falling out. So even if this is an ex of yours, I feel like the breakup would have been kind. There would have been forgiveness there. There would have been consideration, regardless of who was the one who initiated it. If this is somebody that you haven't been in a relationship with, and maybe there was an interest, but they declined, I feel like this is somebody who would still enjoy seeing you, right? They still appreciate you as an individual, and they aren't somebody who has completely written you off just because there was an expression of an interest there that at that time they weren't able to reciprocate for whatever reason. This could be somebody that you know very, very well, or somebody that, you've just had brief encounters with, but I think there's somebody who is just very warm, very engaging. I think they are somebody who is likely social, and if they're not extroverted in the sense of they enjoy spending time with other people, then it's at the very least they feel comfortable interacting with people, right? There's maybe a confidence in being able to connect with others. If this is somebody who you have known for a while, I think you've seen them go through a transformation. You've been able to witness how they've overcome some struggles and challenges, or at least seen them accomplish goals that they have placed for themselves. You could also have just seen them go through a physical change, right? Like this could easily be somebody that you've known since you were in elementary school, high school, college, and you've just seen how they've matured over the years. This could be somebody that you met through a female, or with this maiden card, or this could be somebody who is a female, somebody who could be younger than you. I'm trying to see. And I feel like this is a person who appreciates a variety of different kinds of people. If they do have a large friend group, this is somebody who's going to have a diverse friend group, all right? Friends of different socioeconomic backgrounds, friends of different ethnic backgrounds, friends of different religious backgrounds, maybe even political backgrounds. And if not, they just enjoy talking to different types of people. This could be somebody who has a job where they have to network a lot with others. But this is also somebody who, they could be really good at reading the energy of the people around them. And they do have barriers. There are certain types of people that they may not want to get close to, or it could be that even if they have a lot of acquaintances and they seem very friendly and very outgoing, they still might be a relatively private person. And for those of you where you don't know this person, I feel like this is the energy of somebody who is nurturing. You know, we've got this flower here and the butterfly, and that's making me think of pollination, right? So you might be somebody who hasn't had the experience of partnerships where the other person has supplied you with love and acceptance, affection, attention, nurturing. You might have been the person who was always doing that. This is the type of person who is going to also put forth that effort. I'm just saying here, this is card number 8. So in some decks of tarot, that represents the Strength card, which is Leo. I don't remember what in other decks, it's something else. I think it's Justice. And I can't remember what that one represents, but Leo might be significant. Anyway, you know, this is somebody who is going to honor you and is going to show you off, I think. Want to spend time with you, want to engage in your interests, want to learn how to communicate with you, really truly want to be a part of your life. There could be this this innocence to them, a sense of playfulness, even naivety, right? Where the maiden hasn't had an abundance of experiences to shape their world view. And so even if this person is older than you, I feel like there's this youthfulness to their presence. Almost like they can never be jaded by the world. It could be somebody who really enjoys nature. You know, we've got not only this flower, but like the stars in the night sky, and then these trees right here. Could be somebody that you meet through a party, or another form of invitation. I'm just getting a really like harmonious, peaceful, energy from these cards. And I think it's somebody who really is like sensual, right? This is very clearly supposed to represent a certain area of the feminine, you know, the female anatomy. And, you know, whether you're female or not, I feel like this person is somebody who is very sensuous, someone who is romantic, someone who is gentle and delicate. Okay. So, if that sounds like somebody that you know and are thinking of, or somebody that you would be interested in, then we are going to look at what is blocking union for you right now. This is a person who is very easy to talk to. They're a good listener. And this could be somebody that you've exchanged messages with. A lot of times we look at butterflies as symbols of messengers and messages. Okay, so what is blocking union for group 3 and this person? Okay, we've got the 4 of Stones. We've got the Sojourner with the King of Mirrors. The 6 of Mirrors. And the Empress in reverse. So let's start with those of you who know this person. And I feel the messages for both demographics are probably going to share similarities. It's interesting that we have, you know, an earth element here to start. And it's the 4 of Stones, which talks about like maintaining our resources. And you can see in this particular deck, the 4 of Stones is represented by this chest underneath this archway. You know, something that's kind of kept hidden and secret. But then, and the stones, an earth element, is all about practicality. It's about foundation. But then you've got, the dreaminess and the emotions of water cards here, or mirror cards, with the King of Mirrors and the Six of Mirrors. So it's almost like, for those of you who know this person, you're kind of just keeping it as this daydream, right? I feel like it's something that, or you or this person, it could be something that one or both of you fantasize about a lot. To the point where it's like you're creating a script in your head, but neither one of you is acting on it. Instead, it's almost like kind of dismissing that as a fantasy. And trying to stay grounded. Like maybe one or both of you is kind of scared to get really caught up in romance. Maybe it's a fear of getting hurt by this person or them by you. Maybe there are other things going on in life. And one or both of you are kind of like, I really want to explore with this person, but I just feel like it might be a distraction. So I'm choosing to instead kind of put these away in this box here and maintain this facade. And I do feel that there's a facade being placed here. I think this is very much like what's going on in your heart and in your head, but in reality, what's being shown is something far less emotional, something that is more detached. And with the Empress here in reverse, it's almost kind of like this feeling of either I don't know if I'm good enough for it, or I don't know that it's something I should nurture. There's very clearly this desire to connect with this person, but there's trepidation about if it's practical, if it's reciprocated, if it's going to disrupt the current path that you were there on. And for those of you where this is somebody that you are you don't know, but you're imagining, right? I feel a couple of messages here. For some of you, it's kind of like along the same lines of the first group. Well, not like group one within the tarot, but like the group that preceded you with the conversation here. It's almost like you've created this script of like what you want. But you're not going out and you're not seeking it. So this could be like staying at home all the time, and fantasizing, daydreaming, writing about the kind of relationship that you want, or even getting to like the initial stages of conversation, right? Like exchanging a few messages on dating apps, or going out and talking to someone in person, but then never taking a step further. Cutting it off before it really has a chance to show you if there's potential or not. For others of you, this idea of what you're looking for is so cemented in your mind, you've created too much of a rigid structure, and therefore you're cutting out a lot of opportunities that could otherwise be present, is what I'm getting. So what, if anything, can group number 3 do to get closer to union with this person? The 3 of Scrolls. That's an interesting card to come out here. The 2 of Stones. The 2 of Mirrors. The 5 of Mirrors in reverse. And then the 8 of Stones. Okay, let's take a look at this from the lens of if this is somebody that you know. I feel like this is a message of meeting in the middle. Because the 3 of Scrolls here with like the 2 of Stones, what I'm seeing with that is like having to balance and not getting everything that you want right away. Because for some reason, this person may have, like, there may have been a breakup between the 2 of you, or this person declined your romantic advances. And if they declined your romantic advances, because we're here at this, that indicates to me that they do have feelings for you. They just may not have been ready for like a true commitment. And it could be for any reason, right? Maybe they're still healing from something. Maybe they are preoccupied with work or with family troubles or what have you. But this is kind of speaking to me of like, you know, this is a situation where you're not going to be able to get everything that you want right away. You're going to have to make some compromises. And it's going to be a slow process. But with this 5 of Mirrors in reverse, it's kind of like followed by the 8 of Stones, which is a card of like mastery, right? Apprenticeship, gaining skill. It's like building that reputation, building that repertoire, building that bond. If this is like a situationship that you're going through right now, or this is an ex, it's also going to be important to discuss painful experiences between the 2 of you, right? Not in an accusatory way, but in a way that's communicating like, you know, I value this connection and I want to take it deeper. These are the things that I've had difficulty with in my connection with you, or this is what's been painful for me. And also being receptive to listening to them with that. I have a feeling that for some of you, there are some feelings that you have withheld in regards to like pain, frustration, anger, sadness, fear. And I can almost feel as if you're telling yourself, like, you know, this person would listen just because of like who they are. But you're also like, just maybe you're scared to test the boundaries with that. But the universe is really highlighting, like, it's important for you to share that part of your experience. This person can't know unless you express yourself. And there can't be a more balanced sense of harmony between the two of you if you don't express yourself and if you don't listen to the other person. So communication is going to be really important here. Being vulnerable, being authentic, also being receptive to what they have to say, and finding compromises between the two of you. It does seem like this is a connection for those of you who know this person that could come into union more quickly if there was communication involved. For those of you who do not know this person, I think there is a fear that is part of the reason why you're holding back. Why you may simply be fantasizing about the kind of connection that you want, but not actively pursuing it. Or why you are dismissing potential suitors. Finding reasons why maybe they aren't a fit for your ideal partner. And I think it boils down to fear. But it's going to be very important for you to confront that fear by taking action, right? And engaging maybe with potential suitors a little bit longer, not cutting them off so quickly. It's, you know, you see this bear here, like this is a little bit of a sizable gap. And I feel like that could represent the anxiety of stepping over the cavern, you know, worried that, like, what if I fall through? What if I slip? What if this is dangerous? But if you don't cross over this gap, you'll stay stuck. You're going to stay stuck in one place. And so, you know, the universe certainly wants you to take the time that you need, and it doesn't want to rush you. It doesn't want to encourage you to do anything like impulsive, dangerous, negligent. But it is recommending that you start to take the journey that you're afraid of taking. And with the Two of Mirrors, really finding ways to connect with people. You know, we look at swans as kind of like soulmates. And so we could look at this definitely as a soulmate card. And this can talk about, like, you know, this is how you're going to find the one. But I feel like part of the process of finding this person is being willing to enter into experiences with people where you do become more vulnerable and you give them a chance to open up more. It's very likely that you will have to kind of sift through individuals that just aren't compatible with you. But the alternative is that you just kind of sit in one place. And what do we call it? Like a sitting duck? And you kind of watch everybody else have these experiences. And you run the risk of like not having those type of experiences for yourself. And the universe is just highlighting for you as well, finding the right person or finding a person that is a good fit for you. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. You know, you have to be willing to put yourself out there to people and be like, okay, what kind of person do I want to project myself as? How do I want to show up into these connections, right? And what kind of dates do I enjoy? What kind of discussions do I enjoy? What are my green flags and what are my red flags? How do I get more comfortable talking with people? This isn't a situation where it's just kind of like you go on a date and boom, the first person that you have lunch with ends up being the love of your life, and it's, you know, a commitment from that point on out. The universe is saying that your journey is going to require you to dedicate yourself to the process. It doesn't have to be all at once, right? Like, you don't have to go speed dating. You don't have to go, I mean, you truly don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. But you don't have to like have a date every night of the week. You know, or date consistently until you find the one. Like, you can take as many breaks as you want to. You can see as many people as you want to in the process, or as few people as you want to in the process. But the point is, the important part of it is, and look, I just noticed. Look at this. I don't know. It's just, it seems very strange to me, but this is almost kind of like the same shape here. And then we've got the lotus flower here and a rose here. Just makes me think like, okay, take that gentleness, you know, mentally, because it's like hovering over this woman's head, right? Start thinking gently to yourself. Start thinking about ways where if you feel like you have to lock up this fantasy because it could never happen for you, or because nobody else is good enough, like, just start telling yourself that there is somebody out there good enough, that you are worth this. But this is the process to finding this person is going to require you to commit to engagement, and really putting yourself out there. So what I do want to do is get a short message from this person to you, because I feel like, you know, sometimes when we are waiting for union, whether we know somebody or not, it can be stressful and it can be disheartening. And so to have like an uplifting, encouraging message from them can sometimes offer us relief, confidence, inspiration. So what does this person want to tell group 3? 7 of Scrolls. The 9 of Mirrors in reverse, and the 10 of Scrolls. Let's get clarifiers for this. The Hanged Man in reverse. The Ace of Spirals in reverse. And the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. No, sorry. The Wheel of Fortune is upright in this instance. So it's almost like, you know, they want to highlight there's some sort of deception here, but not necessarily that they're deceiving you or their energy is deceiving you, or like a deception that's like manipulation, right, from anybody else. This to me is talking about, it's kind of like stubbornness, because the Hanged Man in reverse can talk about an inability to see from a different perspective. So it's kind of like, and I keep hearing the song like, you don't know you're beautiful. It's just kind of like saying, this is a lie, you know? This fear that you have, whether this is somebody that you know or that you don't know, but this fear of being vulnerable, of taking action, of maybe not being good enough, or them not wanting you, they're like, baby, that's not even the truth. Like, that's a lie. That's you're being stubborn right now. And they're saying, like, you know, you can't find personal fulfillment in life without taking action. And so if you've been somebody who has struggled in your life with making decisions or taking action towards the things that you want, this may be part of a lesson for you. But this is just kind of like a gentle encouragement, okay? A gentle nudge telling you, like, the insecurities that you're facing, the fears that you're facing, they're not based in reality. And the truth is that you can't find happiness if you're not trying to create it for yourself. But the upside to that is, as you start to release the stress that you experience, right? Like the mental burden of the Ten of Swords, with it being in reverse, that can talk about letting it go. Things are going to change. You know, once you kind of like ease up on yourself, there's going to be a lot of changes that come your way. Okay, we got the Devil in reverse. So that's like letting go of pride, letting go of insecurities, letting go of the things that hold you back. Which in this instance, with Death and the King of Scrolls in reverse, is talking to me about like that negative thinking, that the mental barricades that have been created. So let's take a look. I know your guys' is going to be the shortest of them all. I apologize, but one thing I will say is this energy is of somebody who is very sweet. And they don't, you know, I think part of it is they don't seem like a terribly complex person. I think this is a person who says what they mean what they say. Their actions are genuine. I feel like this is a person you don't have to decode very much, which is kind of nice to hear. Especially if you've been involved in situations where there have typically been a lot of confusion, a lot of hot and cold. I don't feel like this person is like that. So let's get a message from the universe for you. All right, so we have 41 with talent guides, spirit mentors, and teachers, but it was in reverse. So there is a message from the Energy and Spirit Oracle. So it says reverse. The talent guides card reversed signals a missed calling for you. Your soul longs to express itself and inspire others, but an important interest of yours is being ignored. Oh my God, literally what we were talking about. If you've been too busy to pay attention to the desires of your heart, now is the time to determine what path you want to follow. Meditate on the skills or talents you want to focus on. Call upon the spirit guides that have walked those paths before. They can not only help you choose the best direction, but also inspire you in ways that will make your talents shine. And the affirmation says, I am blessed with many known and unknown skills. Talent guides inspire me and give me confidence in the pursuit of my creative interests. Okay, and in this instance, we're talking about communication with other people, whether it's one specific person, I just saw 40-40, or if it's just the general energy of a future partner. So group number 3, that's where I'm going to leave your reading today. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If it resonated, please let me know how in the comment section down below. And if you would like to be a part of the family and haven't done so, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. Bye.